powers are the express powers in Article 1, Section 8, Clause 1 through 17 of the Constitution. Congress clearly has the power to coin money. The elastic clause, a statement in the U.S. Constitution, Article 1, Section 8, granting Congress the power to pass all laws necessary and proper for carrying out the enumerated list of powers, allows Congress to loan money to itself and make choices like commemorate each state, which is an unnecessary expense. However, inherent powers are powers not stated in the Constitution, yet we have programs like NASA and separate programs to help protect our border, which is not part of the necessary and proper clause, but it is considered proper because of our government organization. Enumerated powers are powers Congress have to enforce a law or act. For example, Congress has the power to have a national bank on state property without the state being able to tax it, which is considered necessary and proper. Implied powers are powers that give authority to Congress that imply or suggest other powers. An example would be the necessary and proper clause. The court case Wicker v. Filburn opens up the extension of the necessary and proper clause. Wicker v. Filburn was a Supreme Court decision that recognized the power of the federal government to regulate economic activity. Filburn was growing grains of wheat for his own consumption, yet it deemed that Congress could regulate the wheat due to the fact that he would buy less grains of wheat and not help stimulate the economy.
Congress has the delegated power to regulate interstate commerce, Article 1, Section 8, Clause 3. But what defines commerce? Does Congress have the power to set a national minimum wage? Does it have the power to set safety regulations as part of being able to regulate interstate commerce? Congress is encroaching its power when it extends by law and regulation the meaning of commerce, so it becomes more and more powerful. Regulating interstate commerce is simply regulating what goes from one state to another. Making safety laws such as occupational safety and health administration and setting a minimum wage is far exceeding its power of the Constitution of regulating interstate commerce. There are three branches, the legislative, executive, and judicial branch. These three branches balance each other out to keep one from encroaching over the other.
These are called checks and balances. Stated in Federalist 51, the great security against the gradual concentration of the several powers in the same department that says each department is independent and can easily fend off any attempts of an encroaching nature from other branches. An example would be the executive branch had the power to veto congressional decision and Mollica versus Maryland. The checks continued when Maryland sued the national government for payment of a form of tax that the state could in Mollica versus Maryland. The Supreme Court felt that in the scope of the necessary and proper clause, it was proper to enforce the National Bank Act. Congress made the decision that the government could place a national bank on the state land and not be taxed by the state.
The court has been very active in the attempting to balance and check the powers of Congress. The court's decision on the case Wicker v. Filburn was in favor of Congress's decision to fine Wicker for his overproduction of wheat. It was said that the overproducing of wheat would affect the economy in a negative way, which was originally trying to be prevented by setting the limited amount of wheat a farmer could produce. The court ruled that Congress could regulate intrastate commerce if it had a substantial effect on price and market conditions, saying that there was a slight chance his wheat could become intrastate commerce.
Another case that used Wickard as a precedent was the ruling in Gonzalez v. Reich. Reich was using medicinal marijuana under the Compassionate Use Act in California. The government came into Reich's house and destroyed the marijuana plants. The connection between the cases is the government being afraid of the possibility that it would become interstate commerce. It was said likelihood that the high demand in the interstate market would draw such marijuana into that market. Reich, along with Filburn, was not trading or selling their product.
Congress has enumerated powers that are listed in Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution. This gives Congress the power to exercise exclusive legislation in all cases thoroughly over such districts, thus stating that Congress has the power to make a ruling on disputed disagreements such as gay and lesbian marriage within the country. The 14th Amendment gives protection to all United States citizens, stating, "No state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States." Yet many argue that this is interfering with the 10th Amendment that says, powers not delegated to the United States are reserved for the states respectfully, thus keeping the decisions to legalize gay and lesbian marriage strictly on the state level. This is why people argue that Congress is crossing the line of its extensive powers concerning referendums of gay and lesbian marriage, like the referendum that passed in Maryland legalizing gay marriage. Also like the repeal of the Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy. Because these decisions shall be reserved to the states solely, yet Congress still has not acted in the laws that conflict with DOMA, Defense of Marriage Act, that President Obama is enforcing and supporting.
Okay, so we're at 5 minutes.